And welcome back to the Daily Space Weather. Quick message to Elon Musk. Elon, if you decide to endorse our Daily Space Weather videos, maybe we'll actually follow you on Twitter. So we're starting out looking here at this is a star, and thanks for stargazing with us, viewers. Here at the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. We like to just, show the most in-depth footage of the sun and the most comprehensive space weather that exists in the world. This is 171 angstroms plus colorized magnetogram from SDO. We've got quite low levels of solar activity at the moment. So a low number of sunspots here. I think there are like 4 named sunspot groups. There's the solar intensity gram. Here's another composite. 211, 304, and 171 angstroms. That is yesterday and today's activity. Only one significant flare to talk about. We'll get to it. First, a quick endorsement here. We endorse our own record label. Here's one of the tracks that we regularly feature on the channel. It's Le Tour de Chance Speed. And here's a teaser. So go have a listen. Our record label's called Golden Cat Productions. Check us out. Today's featured product is the Galactic Federation Special Forces. So we've got to do some endorsements here, and we'll get these out of the way early in the video to show you uninterrupted coverage. So, Universum Liberate, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying Universum Liberate. And remember, folks, I'm not only Smash-O-Mash, but I'm also a client. So check out the merch. You can find the links below the video, as well as on our homepage, which we will also endorse here momentarily. So go have a look. Pick up some products. Start a conversation about, am I allowed to say freedom and liberty on YouTube yet? I'm not sure. But I'll just say this, because I like to freak people out on YouTube and make them think that I'm in the Illuminati by saying stuff in Latin, like Universum Liberate. People will be very frightened. They'll say, oh my God, what is that? Is that a military patch? Is that a unit patch? Oh my God, does it represent the Milky Way galaxy signal strength and security and instantaneous galactic scale reach? Our forum has pretty instantaneous reach. If you haven't checked it out, smashomash.com/forum, you can find forums about cosmology, Earth and geophysics, a free-for-all, general science, one specifically about the sun, one just featuring our content, and one for new users at smashomash.com/forum. If you want to support the channel via subscription services, and please do, join at the gold or silver subscription level. You'll get some additional content nobody else gets to see. We are still on Patreon as well. Smashomash.com/smashteam is a superior site to Patreon. We just needed superior capabilities, so we decided to build our own. Yesterday's video featured another coronal mass ejection forecast. Check it out if you haven't seen it. It's at youtube.com/smashomash. And there's our homepage, smashomash.com. Again, you can find links to our merch shop there, as well as a permanent invite link to our Discord chat. You want to send an instant message, do it on Discord. There's the link to the Redbubble shop, links to the forum, as well as to the Smash team, all on the homepage. Give Smash staff a raise. Become a member of the Smash team at the gold or silver level. And if you enjoy the content, don't forget to press like, subscribe, share, etc. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, by the way, as well. We've got a Twitter poll at twitter.com/smashomash. What about accountability? Do you think it's ever going to come? Here at the Smash News Network, we're accountable for citing facts. Here's some more facts. This is ionized helium from the SDO. And it's El Sol, a.k.a. Helios, for the last about 24 hours. Again, pretty low levels of activity here. And only one significant flare to mention, which we will get to. But first, let's check out global seismicity. I haven't even looked. And global seismicity is still at a high level here, according to Volcano Discovery. The 7 magnitude earthquake drought just broke. And let's check out the USGS site and see what else is shaken. And indeed, some more additional large quakes have occurred in the past 24. So major uptick here in seismicity, a 5.7 near the Fiji Islands there, north of New Zealand, not far from Tonga, and a 6.2 at Chile. So the west coast of South America there, also seeing a 6+ magnitude quake. That one came in at 18:58 Universal Time yesterday on July 27th. There's also a 6.1. Let's hope those aren't foreshocks for a larger quake. Remember, folks, any earthquake can be a foreshock. And it looks like when we did show prep here, there was a 5.2 at Nicaragua. Next, we'll look at volcanodiscovery.com's Volcanoes Today page to see what's erupting. And indeed, Karimsky is probably still erupting on the Kamchatka Peninsula, though volcanic ash not identifiable on satellite imagery. Mount Abiko, flight level 100, it's a 10,000-foot ash plume over Paramushir Island. Suwanosejima, flight level 060. Please don't pole vault the caldera. Mount Ibu exploding on the Halmahera Isle of Indonesia, flight level 070. It's a 7,000-foot ash plume. Moving to East Java, Semeru is exploding, 14,000-foot ash plume from Semeru. And moving to South America, we've got Nevado del Ruiz remaining on the list here as it explodes. Flight level 230 from Nevado del Ruiz. And in Ecuador, we've got Sangay continuing to explode, flight level 230 from Sangay also. Flight level 220 over Peru from Sabancaya. Please don't pole vault the caldera. Now, the radio flux is at only 98 solar flux units, so a dip in radio flux here since yesterday. And it looks like maybe NOAA is agreeing with us here, as we forecasted a coronal mass ejection strike for July 30th. So not really sure here why NOAA's forecasting that, but that's the situation. Again, 10.7 centimeter radio flux at 98 solar flux units. And if you want to see a 1-year chart of that, just head to solent.info and you'll find that 1-year chart. There it is. It's this black line. And if you're wondering, it's not a grand solar minimum. Next, looking at Earth's magnetic moment from space. Keep in mind this is a model based on the space weather modeling framework. There are a lot of variables that go into this model, and we just like to show it daily to remind people that Earth is surrounded by a magnetic field. And the magnetic field protects the planet from all sorts of things like electromagnetic radiation by holding the atmosphere in place and so forth. And this is the last 4 hours of what's likely going on at Earth's magnetic moment from space. That's out to about 12 Earth diameters. Things are geomagnetically calm at the moment. And the scale represented in this imagery is magnetohydrodynamic pressure, known as nanopascals. We'll also show Earth's magnetic moment from the ground. And let's take a pause for this brief station identification. Welcome to the Smash News Network. Least busted name in news. So here's Earth's magnetic moment from the ground over the last 4 hours. And we do see some significant magnetic perturbations here on the surface level. The scale shown in this imagery is nanotesla, which is magnetic flux density. And I don't know why the imagery isn't loading. Once again, I can assure you all that here at the Smash News Network, Least Busted Name in News, our internet connection is blazingly fast. Here we go. Let's bring it back. It's Earth's magnetic moment from the ground. And let us know in the comments what coffee you're drinking today. Today we're drinking Lavazza Organic Blend, which is from multiple locations. It's medium roast, and that's, again, the last 4 hours of Earth's magnetic moment from the ground. So KP3 is the current situation. We have seen a little increase in the magnetic fields since yesterday. They are majorly in positive territory here, but things quite calm as far as solar wind, space weather, etc. It's geomagnetic calm conditions. So solar wind density, about 5.5 protons per cubic centimeter. Solar wind speed just over 400 kilometers per second. Pretty uneventful stuff there. Next, looking at magnetic data, there's the GOES magnetometers. There are the GOES magnetometers over the past 3 days. Things pretty smooth there as far as those readings. And here is the heliospheric current sheet. This is the polarity of the solar plasma. Earth lies in a South Pole current sheet, as you can see there, shown in red. North Pole current sheet headed this way. So that could be delayed. It could be accelerated based on sunspots. And keep in mind, folks, the sun has hot spots and cool spots. So at the moment, there is a cool portion of the sun facing the Earth. And when I say cool, I mean in terms of X-ray output. And, that's why you're seeing sunspots and then less sunspots, and then more sunspots, because the hot spots are remaining hot. We're seeing the reemergence of the same sunspots occasionally here. This is the solar line of sight field plot. And let's move to coronal holes next. Coronal holes are more like cool spots. And keep in mind, this imagery shows the solar B field in blue. And we do see some green North Pole-oriented coronal holes showing up here after not seeing any for quite a while. And we are seeing a little bit of migration here. So let me just bring out my Epic pen. Just give me a moment. I apologize for the delay. However, you can see this North Pole field right here, this coronal hole. And it is not exactly on the heliographic North Pole at the moment. You can see it's a little bit off to the east there. And the south solar polar field is migrating a little more quickly than the north solar polar field. So that's what's going on at the moment. And let's take a look at that visually. Here's 193 angstroms from the SDO. That's the last 24 hours. And that's not really visible too much in this imagery. I mean, it's right in that area right there. You can kind of see that coronal hole. It shows up better on the magnetometer. The Gong 2 imagery that we just showed. But there you can see that north polar coronal hole there migrating a little bit to the east. More well-defined coronal holes. These are all South Pole oriented coronal holes. And let's move to sunspots. There aren't many. We've got about 4 named sunspot groups here. And again, things pretty calm here as far as solar activity. Those hot sunspots those hot regions of the sun that I talked about earlier are sort of moving around to the far side of the sun at the moment. So here's your SDO continuum imagery. These sunspot groups have remained mostly stable since yesterday. We'll also show 1700 angstroms. And remember, folks, for a grand solar minimum, you need to see very low numbers of sunspots, like as in 0 sunspots, for extended periods of time. We're just not seeing that. So the only major flare here over the past 24 was a C-class intensification of it was a C3.6 class X-ray flare. And remember, folks, solar flares and coronal mass ejections are different phenomenon. Solar flares are photons In the X-ray range, coronal mass ejections are protons, physical gas blasting out into the solar system. So that peak flux was at around 1050 yesterday, right around when our video premiered on YouTube. So here's some imagery of that. We've also got 131 angstroms. This is 94 angstroms. And it looks like that flare came from this new active region rising here in the southeast. Let's take a look at it in this wavelength. And again, that was only a C3.6 class flare. Nothing to write home about. Did it produce any relativistic particles that made it to Earth? Well, certainly not. There are the measurements from the GOES-16. No spikes in the proton flux. We've also brought up a star chart. There was a great Jupiter out as the sun rose this morning. As it got light out, Jupiter very bright near the apex of its passage across the ecliptic. That's the yellow line. The blue line is the galactic plane on our star chart imagery. Happy new moon to all you reverse werewolves. Congratulations on sleeping well, being happy, productive, normal members of society, not cannibalizing humans, staying up all night, and acting like a generally satanic sociopath. Here's your solar system forecast for the next week. Here's where things will be in a week. We will still have a crescent waxing moon by then as Mercury comes back to say hi to our side of the solar system. Next, we'll look at coronagraphs as we do daily. Here's yesterday's coronagraph imagery. There were some CMEs there. Were they earthly directed? Well, we'll get to that in a moment. First, we'll show today's imagery so far. Only 12 frames there. And let's move on to look at the Stereo A and Soho Lasco C3 coronagraph. Stereo A here on the left, which is located at Lagrangian point 5. Soho Lasco C3 here on the right, located at Lagrangian point 1. It looks like some of that's actually what we covered yesterday. We're expecting that CME to arrive at Earth on the 30th, around midday. There is a second CME there. There's a bunch of missing data. You can see about 5 hours of missing data there. There is some ejecta possibly headed Earth's way. Let's take a look here. 2123. It looks like an additional CME headed toward Earth. So it's another minor one. It's not super dense, but we can expect another CME strike on the 31st. So 2 more minor glancing blow style CME strikes. We can expect one in 2 days on the 30th and in 3 days on the 31st. So here are the hydrogen alpha images from the El Teide, Spain ground-based National Sunspot Observatory Solar Telescope. And we still do have quite a few filaments. This one down in the south. Part of it's still remaining there. And some more filaments rising over here on the east, some setting over here on the northwest. So here's the latest imagery. This is the last about 2.5 hours from the GOES-16 SUVI. And we streamed this live for a long, long time yesterday on the Twitch channel. Perhaps download the Twitch app if you haven't. Twitch.tv/smashomash. And thanks for leaving a comment, Tinman1057. Good morning to you as well. And cheers. That would be a corporate logo that I did not mean to show. Whoops. All right. So, again, streaming live to Twitch at twitch.tv/smashomash. Thanks to everybody who's followed us over there. Next, we got some imagery here of 171 angstroms wavelength from SDO. It's our house favorite. Shout out to Smash staff. Please leave a comment. Tell Smash staff to stop slacking. Next, we'll continue on with both bonus features and our meteorology segment. So first, bonus features here. This is the total electron content forecast. GPSs don't work well around the equator at noon because of the refraction caused by free electrons. So we show it daily because we like to tie the physics together with the data. So we like people to not be confused about the physics. And you can see some pretty big variations there in the total electron content. Some electron anomalies happening there around Antarctica during the Antarctican winter. We'll also show the ionogram imagery here in a moment. And that's just a diagram showing distances in miles. Feel free to pause the video on that frame. Next, charging hazards. We do have some minor charging hazards here around Mexico and the central Pacific Ocean. There are surface charging hazards. Those are caused by low-energy electrons building up on the surfaces of satellites, hence the term surface charging hazards. They shouldn't cause any major communications failures. Here's the GOES electron flux over the past 3 days. That's measured by the GOES 16 and 17 using radiography from their geosynchronous near equatorial orbits. And for you new viewers, the M's stand for midnight, and the N's stand for noon. That's local time for the satellites. Here's the NOAA forecast. No arguments there. We're in a moderate operating range for relativistic electrons. There's the one-year chart from solon.info. And next we'll go to the ionosphere. Feel free to pause this frame if you want to understand things like thermospheric temperatures during solar minimum and solar maximum, electromagnetic radiation penetration into the atmosphere, and molecular densities in those high diffuse layers. So here's your ionogram showing vibrational frequency. And we show it daily on the channel. It's from Australian Bureau of Meteorology. And we show this regularly because, in many ways, it is the bridge between Earth and space. Here's the anomalygram. This is anomaly in megahertz from the 30-day median. There's some pretty decent swings happening there. Quite a few low-frequency anomalies, especially around the equator and the northern hemisphere. And here's the latest image, 10 o'clock Universal Time ionogram, 10 o'clock Universal Time anomalygram, low-frequency anomaly over Hawaii as we stream the video. So next, your latest intensitygram and latest solar magnetogram. New sunspot there, that's beta-gamma class. That's fairly likely to produce major flares. There are the fields of that. And when we say beta class, it means two different polarity umbrae. So this umbra here is South Pole. This one is North Pole. And that makes it more likely to be associated with solar flares. And because it's near the limb, it's slightly more likely to be associated with large flares. We've also got some more groups approaching the limb. And this group up here is barely a sunspot. It is still beta class, though. So that's what's going on at the moment. And let's bring up one more composite. This is iron star. So 3 different species of ionized iron here, 335, 193, and 94 angstroms. And the time frame for that is yesterday and today. Time and date stamps are in the lower left. So that's it. That's all she wrote when it comes to space weather. But don't go nowhere, because now we're going to move to Earth weather as a value-added service. So we're just showing the UV index here. And of course, ultraviolet light is going to be strongest around noontime. And you can see just by looking at that UV imagery there where noontime is likely to be. So that's the UV index at surface level. And let's just show one more thing here. Let's take a look at the DUX. which is 550 nanometer particles. And indeed, there is some Saharan dust once again making its way across the Atlantic. And what that's doing is that's killing weather systems in the central Atlantic. If you were hoping a strong low-pressure system would form a hurricane out there, it's very unlikely to happen at the moment. So let's just head over here and show what we normally show, the surface winds and jet streams of the whole planet. So there you go. Those are the surface winds of the eastern side of the planet. Here are the jet streams. Jet streams of the Americas. And we've got an anticyclone here over the Carolinas now. This has been moving actually to the east. That is a high pressure system, and you can see the strong clockwise rotation consistent with high pressure anticyclones over the northern hemisphere. Completely incoherent jet stream over here in the southwest. Convective forces would be in charge of those areas. Here are the surface winds of the Americas. Strong onshore wind near the Drake Passage. And folks, the Drake Passage is a very weird spot. Look at this small area. This is where the Pacific Ocean and Atlantic Ocean attempt to reach static equilibrium. And when you have huge pressure gradients, the Drake Passage, it's just a weird place. I'll say that. Here are the surface winds of the central world, Europe, Africa, the Middle East. And here are the jet streams. Jet stream blowing backwards once again over the Indian Ocean and northern Africa and even parts of the central Atlantic right here off the west coast of Africa. Continuing on to our weather.gov map, and we've got some flash flood warnings in places like Kentucky especially. Some more flood watches in the southwest as well. Once again, convective forces at play there. And some moisture showing up. We'll show a forecast next. So here is your total accumulated precipitation forecast in inches. And some heavy rains there in Kentucky and Tennessee expected to reach, well, about 3.5 inches there in large portions of the central parts of those two states. Also West Virginia expecting some very heavy rains. Also some very heavy rains in places like Kansas, Nebraska, Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona. Also Mexico going to get plastered here, especially around the West Coast area. That's your GFS 72-hour total accumulated precipitation forecast in inches. And here's your pressure and precipitation forecast to show you where those cells will end up. Again, some very heavy rains coming. And next, we'll show temperature anomaly. So this is temperature anomaly based on the same forecast model, the GFS, for the next 72 hours. Temperatures shown here in degrees Celsius, as the Pacific Northwest remains incredibly hot. Lake Superior remains incredibly cold. And to everybody living in coastal areas, leave a comment and let the other viewers know how much water influences the temperature of your air. Yeah, that's right. For example, if you live on Cape Cod, you probably already know that the ocean temperatures have a lot to do with what your air temperatures will be like. This is the temperature of the air, by the way. The temperature anomaly forecast is for the surface. The lower 2 meters of the troposphere. Again, that's a 72-hour GFS temperature anomaly forecast. Next, your NASA GOES lightning mapper. Some decent bands of lightning there. And again, you can see these convective forces at play as these systems are not moving from west to east. They're moving in all kinds of funky directions, like south to north. And let's check a real-time lightning map. Which reminds me, it's time to check the life of the stream. Yes. And everything looks AOC. Putin's lightning continues. I don't know why Putin's causing so much lightning over here. He must be using directed energy weapons to zap his political rivals and journalists who he doesn't like. Anyway, here is what's going on. We've got some active cells here west of Topeka. Yowzers. That's a pretty active system. And yes, if you're wondering, you can use lightningmaps.org to forecast thunder. Next, we're going to take a look at snow depth. And oh my God, there's no snow in the entire country. Let's see what's going on in the southern hemisphere. New Zealand's got some snow. Tasmania's got some snow. Shout out to our viewers from Munda. The Himalayas have some snow. Who would have guessed? But let's take a look at Greenland, because I know we're very concerned about Greenland melting. Oh my God, look at how melted Greenland is. There's more than 5 meters there. Let's go to the southern tip, just the tip. Right there. Oh, there's only 165 inches of snow. There's only 187.6 inches of snow there on top of sea ice. Greenland must be melting, and we're all going to die. Did you know that? Here's a fun fact for you. Did you know that the Antarctic ice sheets formed about 34 million years ago, when the planet was 3 degrees Celsius warmer than it is today? Were you aware of that? Yeah. Facts. They may be inconvenient, but we cite them on the channel. Now, if you're watching, if you're a CNN correspondent, please make sure you cover this portion of Greenland, because, oh my God, there's no snow there. It's very scary. I'm frightened. So let's take a look at snow depths here, snow extent, and so on. Australia right in the meaty part of the range there. That's 17 years of data there. Right in the middle of the range there for Australian and New Zealand snow. How about South America? Well, it saw a record over the last, in terms of the last 17 years of data. It saw a record this year. I'm not sure if CNN covered that or not. Let us know if the Weather Channel or CNN covered that record snowfall. Now, last year, 2021, was actually quite low in terms of snow extent. Keep in mind, this is only the square mileage or square kilometers covered by snow. It doesn't include snow depth, but that's quite a lot of snow coverage there. And if you're thinking the North Pole is going to melt, well, there's apparently a bit of snow on top of sea ice. Well, there's ice and snow up there at the geographic North Pole. And the Northern Hemisphere is still over 1 standard deviation above its snow water equivalent. There it is. There's the data right in front of your face. And the extent over 1 standard deviation above normal there, at least where the data seems to end as we approach August. We're running out of time for Greenland to melt this summer. Maybe we'll have to wait till next summer. So here is our U.S. Doppler radar map. And we'll focus on the lower 48 for the remainder of the video. Here is the shortwave radiation map showing clouds and fog. And the water vapor should give us a great idea of where the jet stream is. You can see the jet stream here dipping down into Iowa, bringing some cold air. And huge pressure gradients as this low pressure meets this dry mass of air, which is also cold because it's coming from central Canada. And also another low, relatively speaking, in here. We've got this dry mass of air stabbing its way up here, stabbing its way up from the Atlantic Ocean, compressing this moisture. And here's your recap. It's the U.S. Doppler radar. which is frozen like accountability of corrupt bureaucrats. Here is the shortwave radiation map. Accountability, frozen since 2020. And last but not least, there's the water vapor. We do have a minor low here forming in the, I'll call it the Western Atlantic. You can see some sudden cloud nucleation happening in there. There is some hot water around that area indeed. And we hope you're not in hot water watching a bunch of nonsense on YouTube, BitChute, Twitch, or wherever you viewed this video. In any case, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you soon at the Smash News Network least busted name in news, and may that solar wind be at your back. Opinions expressed in this video are not necessarily the opinions of Smash News Network least busted name in news.